Bismillah Rehman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. My name is Asma Rehman. I'm the National Chapter Manager here at CAIR headquarters, and I'm welcoming you today to today's episode of CAIR on Air. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're happy to welcome all of our viewers, including those from American Muslim 360 and those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome. So today we want to recognize CAIR's interns for their amazing and valuable work and their contributions to our organization. We will be talking with 3 of our awesome interns about their experiences working with CAIR, what they've learned, and where they see the future taking them. It's going to be a very fascinating discussion. All 3 of them are some of our brightest and best interns. So today joining us is CAIR legal intern Bilal Mozaffar. Bilal just graduated from Indiana University with a degree in statistics and economics, and he will be starting law school at Indiana University in August, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Bilal.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being with us. Also joining us is CAIR research and advocacy intern Gwenyth Murphy. She's an international security and religion, ethics, and world affairs student at Georgetown University School of Foreign Service. Welcome, Gwenyth.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have CAIR legal intern Rhyma Asim. Rhyma is an international affairs student at George Washington University's Elliott School of International Affairs.
Hello.
Hi, Rhyma.
Sorry, thank you for having me.
Oh, yes. Thank you to all 3 of you for being here. Welcome and thank you for coming on. So how's everyone doing today?
Good, despite the heat.
Right. Yeah. It's been raining here. I'm in the Midwest and it's rained. And so it's gotten like colder. And then in the past day or 2, it hasn't rained and it's just like creeping back up. I hear that that's happening for a lot of folks. So hopefully you all can stay cool. I see you're all in your respective places and you are obviously not at the national headquarters, which is where you're interning. So I'm sure that part of your experience, and I'm going to be excited to hear how it's been for you, is the virtual aspect of interning versus, coming into an office every day and, having that aspect to it. So it's good to see you all in the different places where you are. I'd love to hear really quickly where you're all joining us from. So I'll start from my right on my screen. So Bilal, where are you joining us from right now?
I'm from home and I'm at home right now from Indianapolis, Indiana. So this is just like where my parents are. So I'm here for the summer.
Cool. Okay. I'm in the Midwest too. So you feel the pain of the heat together.
Yeah. And also the rain. It's literally rain, I feel like, every day this summer. I'm kind of over it now.
Well, it cools you off. So that's a good thing too, right?
I guess. I like the heat.
Okay. So then Gwenyth, where are you joining us from?
Yeah, I'm at my parents' house as well. We live in Capitol Hill in DC. So that's
Okay, so you're very close to the office, actually. You could probably walk
just
over.
A few minutes away.
Yeah. Awesome. And Rhyma?
Yes, I'm in DC right now as well. I'm living on campus, on GW's campus for the summer.
Okay.
Just wanted a little change of scenery, but since I've been home for quarantine, but I am in DC right now too.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have all 3 of you. And it's the first time, even though, see, this is part of the virtual part, right? Is I also work for the headquarter office, but this is the first time I'm having an in-depth conversation with all of you. I know I've met a couple of you before, but we have never met in person. So this is really exciting for me, as well as all of our audience, to hear more about all of you. So I'm going to throw some questions out, and I'd love to hear from all 3 of you, but we're going to kind of try to go organically as well. And if there's any questions, I don't necessarily want to call. If you want to just kind of raise your hand, feel free. And then we'll just move through the questions, and whatever questions speak to you, would love to hear your answers. So the first one, though, I would love to hear from all of you on is, what was your role at CAIR? and what projects and programs did you work on? And before that, if you could introduce yourself a little bit. So I'll go ahead and start again in the same order. So Bilal, why don't you start that off for us, please?
All right, thank you. So yeah, my name is Bilal, as mentioned. So I am a civil rights legal intern at CAIR. So I've been with CAIR since middle of September, actually last year. So it's been a good like 9 months or so at this point, or 10 months. And basically, in the civil rights department, the interns, we are responsible for legal intake. So when people first submit complaints about like religious discrimination, we kind of just go through their complaints, schedule phone interviews, read through documents, basically get everything prepared before we pass all the information on to the attorneys. And then one of the biggest projects that I've been working on probably since I started at CAIR, and I'm sure Rhyma will probably have a lot to talk about this as well. It's the watch list project. Basically, holding the federal government accountable for having this completely unconstitutional federal terrorist watch list that has like thousands of innocent people on there just because they have like Muslim names or things like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. That sounds like fascinating and fast-paced work. Thank you, Bilal. Gwenyth, would love to hear from you. First, introduce yourself, please, and then what was or is your role at CAIR, and what projects and programs did you work on?
Yeah, absolutely. So my role at CAIR is a research and advocacy intern, which falls within the research department. So I spend a lot of my time gathering information and writing, particularly this summer. While I've been an intern, our primary project is researching Islamophobia. So that means going through financial records, news articles, blogs. We watch documentaries, trying to be informed ourselves so that we can inform other people. And at the end of the day, I think it's about doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the general public, so that when the information actually reaches them, it's easy to access, easy to understand. I personally think that's really important in today's world. We're battling a lot of misinformation and excessive information. So you want to make sure that important issues like Islamophobia, which is what we're working on, doesn't get buried kind of under the rug. So yeah, that's kind of our main project, and I absolutely love it. So.
That's great. Such important work. I mean, Bilal's too, and I know Rhyma's yours as well, but all of it's so important in such different ways, and things that people wouldn't even realize is all the back end hard work that's going into it. Thank you, Gwenyth. Rhyma, please introduce yourself and tell us what your role is at CAIR and what projects and programs you're working on.
Yes. So just like Bilal, I'm also a civil rights legal intern, and I've been working in this department since I think February of this year. So I would say my role, I think, Bilal gave a really good description of what a civil rights legal intern does on a daily basis. But yeah, I've also been working on the watch list case coming up as well. And I think it's really interesting that as an intern, I get to work really personally with both the attorneys and the clients. I think that's a really unique experience. I feel as if I'm getting a really on-hands experience rather than doing just a bunch of busy work. And so, yeah, on a day-to-day basis, I talk to clients about of their complaints, what they're experiencing, and really just getting to know these people and what they've experienced. And that's just been a really eye-opening experience overall.
That's great. Thank you, Rhyma. So what was something you've learned while working with CAIR that you've either used or you anticipate using in your future professional or academic career? And feel free, anyone, to take that.
So as you mentioned, I'll inshallah be starting law school this fall. And I think just, Rhyma mentioned how kind of like hands-on the legal internship is, a civil rights legal internship. I mean, when I first started at CAIR, I knew it was going to be a great experience, but I didn't realize like how hands-on this work would be. And I really appreciate the fact that they've given us the opportunity to have really lengthy phone calls with clients, or even just to shadow phone calls that we're not like, qualified to conduct. So it's been a really great learning experience. And I think those kinds of interpersonal skills, learning how to be really empathetic with clients who have been, really hurt by the system or multiple systems in this country. Just like learning how to interact with these people and make sure to always be there for them and always offer like words of encouragement. I think these skills will definitely carry all of us a long way in the legal field, inshallah.
That's great. That's great.
I can speak a little bit to the research department since it runs a bit differently, but I would say there's obviously a lot of concrete skills that I've learned from CAIR, specifically researching information that is kind of purposefully hidden and hard to find. That's definitely something that's going to be very useful to me because there is a lot of information that people don't want you to know, but it's critical to actual advocacy work. And so digging it up is a really important skill that I've acquired. But I would also say just more generally, CAIR emphasizes teamwork. We work on a team of multiple researchers, and so and they come from all different places across the country. They have different passions and interests and goals, and so it's incredibly diverse. And I think you need that to have a good final product in any work, in my opinion. But certainly the challenge of working with people who have different ideas and experiences is going to serve me very well, especially if I want to work in government. So yeah.
Yeah, and going off of what Bilal was saying as well, I definitely think speaking one-on-one with a lot of clients has definitely helped me develop these like communication skills and just learning how to like listen to people's experiences. And this is like more general, but I feel like understanding like the extent to which these incidents happen where people are religiously discriminated on a daily basis, just like all the complaints we get per day, I think that's really important to understand. Because I grew up in a pretty sheltered suburb, so I feel like it's really interesting to just hear these people from all over the country speak out, and I'll definitely take that moving forward. And also just the fact that a lot of people experience this, and you never really know what someone is experiencing at work or traveling and stuff like that. So I'll definitely use that going forward.
It's great to hear that, these things that you're learning, that you can apply them both professionally and academically, but these are things that you can absolutely apply in your life, right? Like trying to find hidden information, communication skills and having sympathy for people in different situations than you. It's just so great to see that you're able to have these be introduced to, and you've probably been introduced to them in some way before, but in such an in-depth way, and you can use them in a plethora of different ways, not just for work and academics. So that's amazing. So I would like to ask you all, why did you volunteer to work for CAIR?
I can start. So I personally chose CAIR because I think I've realized through my advocacy work in college that the most important thing when you're selecting where you want to work is choosing somewhere where you feel that you can fulfill your personal mission and respect your personal values and, your vision for the world, and that those things aren't compromised. And I think often that requires an organization that also, stands by that mission as well. And I think that was the case with CAIR. CAIR has really great perspectives on justice and civil rights and, the power of diverse voices and all these other things that are sometimes hard to find. So I think it's the shared values and mission that draws a lot of people to CAIR's work, not just myself. And I think in general, our generation is becoming increasingly aware of the fact that you want the place that you work and the career that you have to stand for something and to match your values. So CAIR is the perfect place for that because they are so strong in their values. So yeah, that's ultimately why I chose CAIR.
That's great. Anyone else?
Yeah, I can add to that as well.
Yeah.
I feel like for my reason for working with CAIR, for a personal reason, being like Muslim woman growing up, I've heard a lot of incidents happening with people in my community and stuff like that, and I've always felt like it was hard trying to figure out how to help people. And so going to college and like learning about the CAIR headquarters, just like in the city as well, I wanted to like at least, even if not intern, just at least learn more about their program and learn about what they do and like how they can help people like me. So I feel like that's like one of the main reasons why is just trying to figure out the best way to like help people in my community, because I couldn't really find that growing up.
Right.
Yeah, I have definitely have similar reasons to both Gwyneth and Rhyma, then also some like additional things as well. So I actually started out interning with CARE Chicago last summer, so exactly a year ago. Um, I was looking for some type of legal related internship because, as we all know, a lot of internships got canceled last summer because of the pandemic. So CARE was one of the organizations that I found, not just for national, but for all the branches that were offering virtual internships. So I decided to apply for like a research and writing internship. So not exactly related to what I wanted to do as a career, but I was thinking, it would be a great way to meet new people and, enhance like my writing skills, which will obviously be important as a lawyer, inshallah. And so after being part of the CARE family with like the Chicago chapter, I was able to, we had like, different type of like meet and greet events where we would meet with different CARE faculty for CARE like employees across the country. And it really got me acquainted with all the amazing work that CARE does, not just like the advocacy, but like the actual like legal work that they do. So then I decided to apply for the legal internship with National. And so that's how I got this internship.
That's great. You all have such great reasons for being here, and we're all blessed to have you. And obviously, all three of you are so bright, and I'm really excited about this next question to hear what your thoughts are on this. So, what is your vision for the future of the country? And, also for the American Muslim community and for your life? So, all three of those questions, and whichever ones you want to answer. But I feel like I'm really excited to hear what you all will say. So, whoever wants to take that first.
It's definitely a very difficult question, but
Right,
also because
yeah.
there's so much that goes into it. But I'll try my best to add some input. So, my vision, I think a huge part of it has to do with like community building. So I feel like I'm so grateful for the Muslims who came before me because my parents are immigrants, but I'm not. Like I was born in the U.S., so I'm super grateful for everybody who came before me to kind of like set up the groundwork. But I do feel that like one of the issues with a lot of like the Muslim community is a lot of times people kind of want to like throw money at issues, which is like obviously money is great. Like we need finances, we need people to fund our initiatives. But a lot of times people who take charge are only, funding these initiatives rather than actually learning about like the community organizing that goes into it. And so just being in college the past 4 years, I've been so impressed by all the young people who have done so much like community organizing within the Muslim community. My best friend, she interns at Polygon, which is this organization that seeks to amplify Muslim voices in Congress. And it really works on just like getting community members active, Muslim community members active, and not just like voting every now and then and things like that. It's actually like getting people educated. And I think that's like a really big part of my vision for the future. I want people to actually know what they're voting for. I want people to, of course, care about. Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. It was just going in and out a little bit earlier, but I think you're fine now. So
okay, perfect. Thank you. But yeah, so just learning more about like the actual problems at hand, and I think that alhamdulillah, the young people have been doing like a really great job with that, and I think that we have this like great like momentum that can carry us forward. But yeah, main thing is really just this like community organizing as opposed to just focusing on the money.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I feel like, generationally, it's been something that, we've said. So like, I think the generation before you that wasn't necessarily immigrant has also said that as well, right? And as we keep going further and further, we get people in our communities that are not just going on, to the regular majors, right? It's like, I mean, not to put any major in any box or whatever, but like going into majors and going into fields that they can actually make a difference rather than just, like you said, earn the money and give the money to it, which there's nothing wrong with that either, right? Each one has its place. But I love that. I love that. And I love the energy that you bring with you to make that change and continue that sort of vision forward that many people have had before you as well. especially non-immigrant children. So thank you, Bilal. What about you, Rhyma and Gwenyth?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit about this. So, I think my vision for my life and my vision for the Muslim community kind of go hand in hand. And it's very specific because of what, my major is and what I study. So, I study security studies at Georgetown right now. And so for
Can you
my
tell us a little bit about that, Gwenyth? I think a lot of people probably don't know what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm an international security major. So I look at issues of, counterterrorism and the things that are classically thought of as security, cybersecurity, other things like that. But I come at it from a slightly different perspective, I think, than most people in the program, because my personal goal is to go into government and actually dismantle a lot of those systems. Most national security systems are inherently Islamophobic. For example, CVE, countering violent extremism, and they typically stereotype and racialize American Muslims. They do that through, anti-Brown, anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant policies and programs. So when I envision my own life, I envision tackling that problem. And when I envision, a future for American Muslims, I like to idealize a world where, American Muslims are not simply an object of hyper-securitization and intelligence and surveillance and law, which has been the reality for far too long, and rather can just be simply people, valued, respected, equal people and members of society, which they obviously deserve to be. So I also don't think, I've had a lot of conversations with people that think that future is very far off. But, as Bilal said, I think young people are really stepping up in a way that is incredible. And it makes me very optimistic that vision that I have is not so idealized and is maybe not too far off. So.
That's fascinating. Wow. That must be so interesting being in that major and being so different from many of your, many of the students that you're studying with and maybe even professors.
Yeah.
Is it challenging?
It is challenging. I wrote actually a final paper saying that CVE is inherently racist and all the problems with it. And, my professor was a CVE professional. So I face those kinds of challenges a lot. But I do think, even though it's kind of a controversial idea, I think sometimes being in those spaces is the way you have to go, at least in the learning process. So it's worth it, but it's a challenge.
Wow, that's definitely the definition of taking the path less traveled or the less easy path, right? Against the grain. Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Gwenyth. Rhyma.
Yeah, so it's been really interesting hearing what you both have had to say. That is a really interesting vision for the future of our country. But I also would think that this might sound a little strange considering that we all work for CAIR, but I would like to envision that we would have less work to do, because that would be the goal.
That does not sound strange. That sounds great.
It would be great if we had less of these complaints, because that would mean that a lot of the American Muslims in the world wouldn't be as discriminated against. And so I would say that that would be great. And for my vision for myself, my goal would be trying to uphold that, because I would like to go into civil rights law and trying basically following the footsteps of the attorneys that I work with right now. And so I think that would be the major goal, is just trying to make sure that we don't have as many of these complaints as we do right now.
Sorry, I know I was distracting you, Rhyma, with my texting. So I just want to say that I think all three of you are so cool, and I would love to be your friend if you'll have me. All right. Well, thank you to the three of you on answering that question. I know I agree, Bilal. It's a hard one. It's a big one, but it was really great to hear your answers. And it's just so inspiring. You guys are, I just love the energy. And all three of you said three different things, but, it's all still similar in the same vein of really wanting to make a difference in the world. So for our last question, I would love to know from each of you, if you could tell the audience to take one action, what would it be?
I can start. Do you want to go, Bilal, or
No, go ahead, Gwenyth.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to say anything that people have not said before, just in general, but, and it's obviously a hard question, but I would say that whether it be, your gender, your race, your religion, your ability level, your financial status, your education, whatever, identities you have privilege in, I would say do whatever you can to use that privilege in that category, in that identity, to amplify the voices of groups that do not have that particular privilege. And I would say do that no matter what the personal cost or the discomfort, because I do think that that's our responsibility as, good humans. And in 2021, especially, platforms and readings and organizations with missions like CAIR are far more prominent and easier to access. So we do have this amazing opportunity to do just that. I think it's like sitting at our feet. And it would be a shame to not take advantage of that. And I think if people use their privilege in that way, then we would be a lot closer to an equitable world. So, yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Gwenyth. Thank you for speaking to that. It's so important. Thank you.
I think that was a great answer, Gwenyth. I think there's so many things to be done. I think a really important thing that I would really encourage people to do, especially young people, I think we've had like the luxury of, like technology and things like that to interact with people, but at the same time, it sometimes has come at the cost of like our like interpersonal skills sometimes, I would say. So I say just talk to people. Anytime you have like a vision for something, like for like watch list is on my mind right now because I was just like talking about that. But if you are someone who's like really passionate about like ending like the terrorist watch list, and you don't know where to start, or even if you do know where to start, but you don't like you have like the means or resources to start like a project or something like that, just talk to somebody who you feel is like at a position that you want to be at in the future, or just talk to someone who knows maybe more about the topic that you do, and always just get new ideas from people, because I promise like any vision that you have can be achieved, inshallah. You just have to like talk to people about it, because it can't, it takes a village, as they say. You need to not put this entire burden on yourself. I know that like it's great that we want to do everything for everybody, but it's always great to just reach out to people, even if you're scared, because if they're doing what you want to do, chances are they're gonna accept you with open arms, and they want somebody on board to help with these types of projects. So no matter what your vision is, no matter what part of the system you're trying to change, just literally cold call people, message them on LinkedIn or something. Just like reach out to people, and don't be scared for like rejection, because you can always move on to the next person.
Yeah, that's great.
And I would say, oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say never underestimating the power of like real connection, right? Like whatever that is, phone calls, text, conversations. That's really great. Thank you, Bilal. Rhyma, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I was just gonna say that I would say that even similar to Gwenyth, even if you're not like a member of a certain group, to try your best to understand things from their perspective, and try. And I know it might be difficult, and I feel like a lot of people nowadays have been trying their best to understand the struggles of different groups. But yeah, I would say, just like Gwenyth said, if you do have a certain privilege, to try and use that in order to like help those people that you have seen that are struggling in a certain group or something like that. But I think the most important thing is just understanding different perspectives, because I feel like a lot of times people don't look at certain things from different points of view, but I feel like that can really change your outlook on certain things.
Right. Like starting off from a place of what's the word, like kind of benefit of the doubt, and then moving forward, like when you're, unless you're absolutely sure that this is like an Islamophobic person, whatever, right? But like, yeah, I love that, Rhyma. That's such important advice. And again, not just in this realm of work and professionalism, but in life, right? In our relationships with everybody.
And if I can add one more thing that just came to mind, I was just going to say, being in Georgetown, so many people there are incredible activists, and working at places like CAIR, so many people are incredible activists. But one thing I have taken away from that is that a lot of people try and pour from an empty cup, and you really can't do that. So as much as it is important to help other people, you ultimately do have to help yourself first. So, taking care of your physical health, your mental health, all of those things is so important for the process of advocacy, because you have to be in a good place yourself to, do the work that you want to do. And so don't spread yourself too thin, and really take care of yourself in the process of taking care of other people. It seems counterintuitive, but it's actually what works best. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, a point that I feel like a lot of people are, kind of honing in on more recently even, but we have a long way to go in terms of, especially in the world of advocacy and activism, remembering that, like you said, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you don't, I feel like some people have just been living a certain way for so long. It's so alien that it's hard to see how that could be better, right? Like taking care of yourself first. So, are you all there? Okay, it was frozen for me for a second. Yeah, that's also really important. Thank you all. I've learned so much from you guys just in the past 30 minutes. This has definitely been the best 30 minutes of my day talking to the three of you. And, thank you guys so much for joining us. And it was a pleasure speaking with you and getting your perspectives. Any last words, if there are any, before we end the show? Well, I mean, you guys left it on pretty good and ending words anyway. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Rhyma, Gwenyth, and Bilal. And inshallah, I look forward to seeing you again really soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, thank you all for joining us for today's episode of CAIR on Air. If you have any topics you would like us to cover, just email us at info@cair.com. And also, I wanted to let everybody know about a program that we're having next Friday. It's part of CAIR's diversity campaign. So CAIR, the headquarters office in CAIR, New Jersey, is going to be heading up that effort. And you will be able to view it on CAIR New Jersey's Facebook page, CAIR National's Facebook page, as well as Mohsin's Facebook page. So basically, the event is called Understanding Disability, Building a Better Tomorrow. And we are highlighting the work of Mohsin, which is an organization that works to elevate information and also help families, especially Muslim families, with family members that have physical or intellectual disabilities. So that is next Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, next Friday, July 16th. And again, it's you can catch it on Facebook Live for CAIR National, CAIR New Jersey, and Mohsin, Muhsen. So see you all next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Remember to like and share this on Facebook and YouTube. And inshallah, take care and have a wonderful day.